Hi there. In this video, we're going to do some probability practice, and it's all the different types of probability mixed together. So let's get started. We've got smoking habits of students related to their parents smoking. And we have a contingency table of data from a survey of students in 8 Oregon high schools. Okay. So we've got either the rows, the student smokes, or the student does not smoke. And then in the columns, we have 2 parents smoke, 1 parent, no parents, and total. Okay, so let's kind of talk about what type each probability is as we go too. So A is the probability that the student smokes. Okay, student smokes. Notice we're not talking anything about parents. So this is called a marginal probability, or where we look at the totals. So this is going to be 1,004 over 5,375. And let me just look at something real quick. Okay, let's go ahead and calculate this. 1004 divided by 5,375. 0.1868. I gotta round that up. Okay, in this case, I'm just gonna leave them as decimals. What's the probability that no parents smoke? Okay, in this case, that is a column. No parents smoke. So that is 1356, and again we're using our total 5375. 1356 out of 5375. 2523. Okay, remember these are called marginal. At least 1 parent smokes. Okay, again, marginal, because they're not talking about the student at all. They're only talking about one of the variables. However, at least 1, we got to think about that. Okay, no parents, 1 or 2, right? Those would both be at least 1. So in this case, we're actually going to add these 2 together, because at least 1 would be 1 or 2. I'm going to take 1780 plus 2239 over 5375. Let's calculate that. 1780 plus 2239 is 4019. So this is sort of a marginal, but it's more like a calculation of marginal probabilities. Doesn't really have a name. That is 0.7477. Okay. Great. Okay. Probability student smokes and 1 parent smokes. Okay, so now we're getting into a different type of probability. Remember what the and probability is called? Student smokes and 1 parent. So student smokes and 1 parent is an intersection, right? That's going to be 416 out of 5370. Okay, so and is called a joint probability. And let's also write down it's the intersection. These are going to be all mixed up in my open math, so these keywords are really important. Okay, let's get a decimal for that. 416 out of 5375 is 0.07. 0.774. Okay. Student smokes and no parents smoke. Purple. Student smokes and, what's another joint? Student smokes and no parents. So that's going to be this one. 188 over 5375. Remember, and is still going to use our grand total. Everything. 188 out of 5375 is 0.03497. So that's a 7. So this 49 has to go to 50. 350. Yeah. Student smokes, probability. Student smokes and at least one parent smokes. Okay, interesting. And at least one. So let's think about our at least one again. Student smokes and at least one. So again, we have two different possibilities. Let me make the screen. So either 2 or 1. So we're going to add those together. That's going to be 400 plus 416 out of 5375. It's also kind of an or in a way. It's either the student smokes and 2 parents smoke, or the student smokes and 1 parent smokes. It's a combination of 2 and. Let's go ahead and add these together. 400 plus 416. 816 out of 5375. 0.1518. Okay, far so good. So we've had our marginal and our joint. Let's see if what this is gonna be. There's more words, so I have a feeling it's different. What's the probability that a student who smokes has no parents that smoke? Okay, what's the probability that a student who smokes? So they didn't use the word if or given, but this is a conditional probability. They're telling us to only look at the students who smoke. So they could have phrased it with an if or a given, but I wanted to show you an example of something that wasn't phrased with that. It was phrased differently. A student who smokes has no parents that smoke. So let's write our probability statement first. What's the probability that no parents smoke given student smokes? Okay, this is the condition that's going with the if or given. This is the condition they're giving us. What's the probability that a student who smokes has no parents smoke? Okay, kind of interesting to find out. So we're going to look for student smokes. What is the total there? That is a row. We're only going to consider this row, and it's going to be 1004. Sometimes it's easiest to do the denominator first because you're identifying your row or column that you're using. And then we're going to say, okay, how many had no parents smoke? So student smokes, no parents smoke. So 188 out of 1004. Okay, make it a decimal for that. 188 out of 1004 is 0.1873. 1873, okay? Great. Let me switch colors. What's the probability that if, the keyword, if two parents smoke, their child will smoke, or at least in this study. So if two parents smoke, so that's the condition. The probability is their child smokes. So in this case, it's called a student. Student smokes given two parents. Okay, we'll go over here. Given two parents smoke. Okay, so this is a great example of now our conditional, our given condition is a column instead of a row. In our previous video, they were all in rows. This is a column. So given two parents smoke, this is going to be out of 1780. A little bit out of space here. Squeeze it in there. And the probability that the student smokes is 400. There's 400 students that smoked if two parents smoked. So 400 out of 1780 is 0.2247. Okay. And then I have another video that's going to go through the independence test with you. So let's just summarize here. So we had marginal and joint probabilities, and those all use the grand total. So let's make a note of that, because I find that's one of the biggest mistakes people make is, well, which total do I use? Marginal uses the grand total. That's what I call this total of all the totals. And joint also uses the grand total. Okay. Also, or, we didn't have any or probabilities in this example, but they also use the grand total. Oops, we got a lawnmower going on here, hopefully for just a second. And then these three were conditional, and that's where we use the row or column total. Of the given condition. Okay, I hope that helps give you some examples, and then I'll see you in the next video for the independence test. Okay, see you there.